Live from a slightly emptier studio in Atlanta, Georgia, you're listening to Techies Talking Tech Tonight, colloquially known as T4. I'm your host, Trey Comstock. With me this week is just executive editor Jimmy Brinsby.
Hello.
Steven is out rehearsing something. I don't know. But he's rehearsing something. It's a thing. He's rehearsing it.
He's doing things that do not involve us.
He's doing things that are not in the studio.
Because he likes making us sad.
That's about all I know. So, if you haven't listened to this show before, I'm sorry. Maybe you want to stop now.
You should go back and listen to previous episodes and see how awesome we are. And then come back and listen to this one so you can see how much more awesome we are, I guess.
Something like that. Yeah, this is our more freeform show.
Where we say whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, so it's freeform, it's swearier, and it's kind of more about just living with technology rather than kind of very strictly tech news. We have a tech news show. It's a very good show, but this is not that show. So Jimmy, what's new with you?
Well, I purchased Infamous Second Son for the PS4.
Excellent.
The first next gen purchase I've made since
launch.
Launch. I bought the what was it? Call of Duty shortly after launch. But once again, it was a launch title,
and that was definitely a truly next gen experience.
It was amazing, let me tell you. It was really, no FIFA.
They're really setting the bar high. For next gen shooters.
Yeah. So I did my GameStop thing where I traded in Call of Duty and Killzone.
That's the best use you've ever found for Killzone. Whatever happened to Knack?
It became Call of Duty.
Great game.
Yeah. So I traded Knack in for Call of Duty because, after playing Knack, all I wanted to do was shoot things.
So you did.
So I did, and then I decided I have Titanfall now, so I don't need Call of Duty.
True, because that's just Call of Duty with mechs,
which is infinitely more awesome.
Yeah, that's a great game.
And so I traded in Call of Duty and Killzone. Finished out my Watch Dogs pre-order. I swear to God, Ubisoft, if you push Watch Dogs back again, I will kill you.
It will come out this time.
I've been burned one too many times.
I believe this time. Last time, I believed too.
Yes, you are just the trusting sort, apparently, on these things. So anyways, so I got Infamous Second Son, which is currently trending at about an 80 on Metacritic. Yeah. And I'd say that most of the reviews that are out there are fairly accurate. It is so much fun to play. The gameplay experience is a lot of fun, and I've never played an Infamous game before, so this is my first one. And the next gen is amazing, and if you look at the fingers is the thing that a lot of games journalists have pointed out,
picking up on that.
But it really is one of those things that the next gen really does play up. So it's very pretty. I've not progressed significantly far in the story. The story is not extremely... there's more story than Titanfall.
Yes, okay, in that it's not just a radio play with a multiplayer mode.
But it is... If there is a weakness to the game, it is that the story is not that strong. It has a story, and the story is happening and is relevant to the game, and my one problem with it is, so in my previous experience with one of the main dynamics of the game, which is if you do an action, it is either good or bad.
Right, yeah.
And based on those actions, you get to advance. Early on, you're given a very stark choice of whether you're going to be good or going to be bad. Right. And there's no going back from there. Once you pick one, you've decided for the entire game that you're going to be good or you're going to be bad. And by that, I mean certain things will be unlocked based on you being good. So being good will mean healing people, and instead of killing people crazily, you subdue them and just bind them in some way, which looks pretty brutal anyways, but you don't kill them, so that's
right.
nice.
So you end up with just like a pile of restrained bodies on the ground.
And so as a result of that, the thing I don't like about that is my previous experience with that has been with like Mass Effect, where every single thing at every single juncture you're given a choice of whether you're going to be good or whether you're going to be bad, and based on kind of the total accumulation of your choices determines whether you are more renegade or more paragon. But at the end of the day, you don't have to actually buy into that whole system. There are perks to doing that, but you don't have to do it. Whereas in Infamous, you really have to, once you've decided that you're going to be like I decided to be a hero because I understand it's more difficult and you have to be more precise with what you're doing.
What I've understood is there's a lot more precision involved in not killing people, whereas you can kind of be a little more spray and pray when you're playing as whatever they call it, evil or villain or whatever.
So that's one of those things that I personally have. I had a lot of fun playing the game. I played it for about 5 hours on Saturday. So and then I played it for a couple hours on Sunday too, and I haven't had a chance this week to play it. But
so, do you see yourself just playing through it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably knock it out here in the next week or two. Hopefully next week I'll finish it and we can, do a wrap up and I can give you my final opinion of it. But it's so I've played other games that Metacritic kind of has in that range that I've played. Dark Souls.
That's trending a lot higher than 80, though.
No. Original Dark Souls.
Okay.
Not Dark Souls 2. Original Dark Souls is like 82. And it's very different, so I'm not even going to try to compare it. But the one that's very similar to it is Dishonored, and Dishonored is an 85, 87.
Now, that's a lot higher.
And Dishonored is a significantly better game because... Yeah, well, because of the story. The story is much better, and it has it feels more developed as a game than Infamous does.
For Infamous, I look at something like Assassin's Creed 4, which I have previously said that the plot is some bullshit. And
yes, you have.
And I had to somewhat retract that opinion because I don't. In the end, I think they did a lot more with that story than I thought they were going to, even a third of the way through. That thing really
a lot of fun.
That thing really picked up pace, but what I mean is like it and Infamous both are mechanically sound. But I get the sense that Assassin's Creed 4 did more with story than Infamous Second Son did.
Yeah, and I think that'd be a good reading of it. But a lot of it is that Assassin's Creed pulls on kind of the whole back catalog, if you want to call it, of Assassin's Creed games.
Of which there have been 9.
Especially if you're familiar with the Assassin's Creed genre and all of the different games that have been a part of it, it makes it so that story is a little bit richer because it alludes to these things that happened in previous games. But for a first-time player that maybe hasn't played those games, those allusions don't make much sense and would probably be pretty confusing.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine starting Assassin's Creed now. Though I guess this time around with 4, you might have been able to do it.
Well, but the one thing about 4 is so in the previous ones, it was all Desmond Miles.
Desmond and the Power Rangers.
Desmond and the Power Rangers. But they would always give you a kind of recap of a little bit of what happened in the previous one.
Previously on Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, basically, that's exactly what they would do.
Actually, one of them I think actually opens with that.
I think it was not. It wasn't 3. I think it was Revelations.
It was either
maybe
3 or Revelations. Yeah.
I think it was Revelations that opened that way, where it was really, guys, really, that's the way you went with it. Well, because it was the 3rd Ezio game. It was the 8th or 7th Desmond game.
It was the 4th Desmond game?
It was the 4th Desmond game because you had original Assassin's Creed and then 2,
3
Brotherhood and Revelations.
Yeah, 2, 3 Brotherhood and Revelations. So there were 5 Desmond games. This is the 6th.
This is console. The 6th one on console, and then there was Liberation.
There was one on the PSP, and there was one on the DS. Bloodlines and
I remember that one now.
Don't ask me what the other ones.
But yeah, so we're off the rails. But anyways, the point is that I think that yeah, coming into the Assassin's Creed games at this point would be difficult. But in this last one, spoiler alert, they kill Desmond.
That happened in 3. That's more than a year old,
Like,
and he's
like,
actually dead.
yeah, like he's actually dead. There's not like some mystery of maybe he survived. No, he didn't survive. He's dead.
You see him like dead.
But like you, as the character in the normal world, you discover the files of how, of like them finding Desmond's body and like the stuff that they figured out about it, and so.
And you're actually still playing through Desmond's memories.
And yeah, and somehow you are connected to Desmond, and so you're playing through Desmond's memories, and you have a very strong of whatever.
Blah 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 blah. Assassin's Creed.
Blah 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 blah. Assassin's Creed came up with this mechanic back in original Assassin's Creed, and they're stuck with it.
Yes, I guess they can't get rid of it now
because they've so fully committed to it that
you got to give them some credit. They have really committed to this.
They have really committed to
I
it.
mean,
but anyways, both games have their strengths in that they're both mechanically sound. They're both a lot of fun if you like the style of game that they are. Like ship battles in Assassin's Creed 4, throwing fireballs out of your hands in Infamous Second Son.
That kind of flying movement mechanic looks really sweet.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some really cool. A lot of the special moves are kind of cool. And on the PS4, the PS4 controller. Do I have one near me? No. The PS4 controller has a touchpad in the middle of it. And there are certain things where it says open this door and you swipe on the touchpad to open the door. Now, in my experience, it basically is just taken anything that in another game you would press triangle to do and made it use the touchpad.
Oh, it's pointless.
Which just frustrates me because I know that in any other game, in order to interact with that thing, I would press triangle. But they're being annoying, and so they're making me use the stupid touchpad. And yeah. That's how I feel.
I have yet to see that touchpad used effectively. Now, we're really early on in the console life cycle. I'm
hoping not. Like, we probably won't see anything this year, but maybe by the end of the year, maybe Uncharted will do something interesting with it.
No, here's what Uncharted is going to do, because Uncharted had a game out on the Vita at launch. They had a Vita launch game that used like all the touchscreen and all the stuff. And what they did is they had this mini game where you would get a document that would be covered in dust, and you would wipe the touch screen to get the dust off of the document.
That's kind of cool.
No, it's dumb. It's the only way you could have made that more dumb is everyone's favorite DS mechanic where you would blow on it as if to blow off the dust. Yeah, because a lot of the DS games will have you like blow on the microphone. The Wii did this too. It's like, and then that would have blown the dust. That was the only way to make that dumber.
Well, okay.
It's just mechanic for mechanic's sake. That's not actually improving the gameplay.
One thing I will say about Infamous Second Son that I like is it uses the speaker that is in the controller. So like when you do certain moves that have a sound effect with them, you'll hear them on the TV, but they're significantly louder on the controller because you're the one doing them.
Okay, that makes sense.
You're closer to it, and therefore it'll do that.
The Wii U does something similar. Obviously not on Infamous Second Son, it's a first-party game, but with other games where you use kind of the fact that there's sound on the controller itself to do interesting things. It's just that touchpad. I look at it and go, "What? Why did you do that?" I guess it was cheap because they already make laptops, but why'd you do that?
Yeah, the other thing is that Infamous Second Son here, it came out a week after Titanfall, and it's the PS4's first non-launch title. It's the first party. It's not cross-platform at all. And so I'll be curious to see. I feel like it hasn't had the big marketing blitz that Titanfall has.
No, nothing had the
nothing has ever had the marketing blitz that Titanfall has.
Titanfall got like a special bundle, which is now selling for $450. By the way,
if you want an Xbox One, buy the freaking bundle.
You can even buy it from Microsoft for $450 now.
Yeah.
So it had like the bundle and like the whole games media, basically us included, just talked about it for a month because there was nothing else going on really. And
yeah, they owned the cycle.
And up until a couple weeks ago, I mean, Infamous Second Son, we knew it was coming, it was on our calendar, but folks weren't really talking about it. And, you know, they weren't out there doing PR stuff until about a couple weeks ago. And then you started to see, hey, more, you know, as Titanfall was just starting to crest, that's when you saw the Second Son stuff. I think they kind of knew what Microsoft was going to do with Titanfall, and they just kind of stepped out of the way and knew that once Titanfall came out, then they'd have more free space to kind of start.
Well, and I think that's why it was a Friday launch instead of a Tuesday launch, honestly. I think they wanted that extra 4 days of time away from Titanfall.
Well, the other thing that you're not thinking about here is to launch on that Tuesday would have been to launch the same day as Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So it'd be 2 third-person, at least vaguely open world or open concept action games that were historically Sony franchises. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid is no longer just a Sony franchise, but it used to be. Launching on the same day. And so I think they were just getting out of the way. Just like games will get out of the way of GTA, games get out of the way of Metal Gear.
And yeah, so I think that I'm not going to try to compare Titanfall and Infamous Second Son right now.
That would be like comparing oranges with a spaceship.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're a
like
totally
comparing
different
oranges
thing.
And steak. Like, I like both of them, but they're not the same.
Not the same. The only point of comparison it's not game quality, because how on earth do you do that? They're both great games. Whatever.
They're both great games at what they do.
What'll be interesting to see is the number of systems that these two games sell. So Microsoft.
I think Titanfall is going to move more systems than Infamous Second Son.
We don't know. It sounds like we don't know. We really don't.
Well, but I say that for one pure reason. There's not an Infamous Second Son bundle for the PS4. There is a Titanfall bundle for the Xbox One that's selling the Xbox One at the same price with Titanfall as the same price as the Xbox One.
Well, now it's even cheaper than it used to be.
Now it's cheaper. So yes, they're going to move lots and lots of consoles as a result of Titanfall, because Microsoft's piggybacking on all of the advertising that EA has done for Titanfall. So
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I really don't.
I think that even if it's just long term, I don't know, but short term, yes, I do think that marketing blitz is going to pay off at least somewhat.
I think Xbox is in trouble if we get the NPD numbers from March and from April, and they're not beating Sony in March and April.
Yeah,
I
agree with you.
They've got a huge problem.
Because they have their huge game that they launched.
The game of the game.
Advertised the hell out of.
I mean, that is like, as far as we know, in looking down the pipeline at Xbox One exclusives, that was it. That was the exclusive.
The other problem for it was Xbox One exclusive as far as consoles are concerned, but it was not Xbox One exclusive as far as you couldn't get it anywhere else. Like, for example, I decided I do not have an Xbox One, however, I will buy it for PC.
Sure, and EA doesn't care.
And EA doesn't care, but Microsoft does.
Microsoft does. Microsoft does make money off the PC version for several reasons. One, it runs on Windows. Two, the network infrastructure is still powered by Azure.
Well, it's true, but that does not solve their moving console problem.
No, that does not solve the moving console problem. In fact, it makes it worse, because it turns out that the PC version looks better than the Xbox One version, significantly.
Well, yeah, because turns out next-gen consoles just caught up with current-gen PCs.
Yeah, to a certain... I mean, not even all the way there.
And I can push 1080p out of my computer.
Which right now, Xbox One's not doing Titanfall in 1080.
Well, neither does PS4.
PS4 does 1080.
It does 1080, but not on old games.
Not on old games, no. So what else is new with you?
Oh, yeah, I also heard back about my Pebble smartwatch.
Oh, yeah.
So turns out they did not just forget about me. So I don't remember if I talked about this at length on the show, but I had ordered this thing like way back when the day they announced it at CES. I ordered one, black matte, $250. It's gonna be awesome. 7 days of battery life. I can get behind.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
So then they said, oh yeah, it'll ship mid-February. Actually, no, we lied. It'll ship mid to late February. Then by late February, they said, actually, it'll ship 6 to 8 weeks from when you ordered it.
Okay.
I'm going, okay, this is a moving deadline, but you've now kind of screwed yourselves because you gave yourself a hard deadline. And then they tried to charge me about a week and a half ago, and my bank, because I don't shop at jewelry stores very much, and that's what Pebble shows up as,
Interesting.
flagged the transaction because I had it happened to come on a day when I had, weird spending habits anyways, and so it went, oh, this is really weird. And so it rejected the transaction, and it called me immediately. And I tried to say, no, yes, approve it. I want my Pebble. Give me my freaking
Prove
Pebble.
that stupid thing.
And they were like, nope, too bad. And so I was oddly, there was radio silence from Pebble.
They didn't tell you that the ish hit the fan.
And yeah, exactly. And so what had happened was, so the day before that, I was getting at the like, okay, guys, what is the deal here? Because it had been nine or 10 weeks since I had ordered, and I hadn't heard anything. So I sent them an email through their little comment form thing on their website, where they kept trying to direct me to frequently asked questions. I kept telling them, no, just answer my question.
I frequently asked, where the hell is my Pebble?
And they finally responded yesterday after a week and a half and said, oh, we tried to charge your card, but, it didn't work. And here's some reasons why it might not have worked. And I'm like, I know why it didn't work. And so they said, so we will automatically put your order into the queue for the next shipment and charge you then. And it should be in 5 to 10 business days. So hopefully by June, I have a Pebble.
That's what it sounds like.
And realistically, with the whole Android Wear thing last week, I did consider briefly canceling my Pebble order and going to an Android Wear device, but I don't. After discussion with multiple people, mainly just Trey, I've decided that 7 days of battery life.
7 days of battery life, and the
ideal Moto 360 is never going to get there.
The Moto
360
looks
awesome,
and I don't think the Moto 360 is going to be anywhere near $250.
No, I think it'll be 400.
Which that's sad because it won't sell. Like it
might be
device.
300, but it won't be 400. It won't be 250.
I hope. I mean, honestly, I hope that the top end of smartwatches is $300 because anything more than that, I don't think these things move.
But the one thing for so the Moto 360, the one thing I think that they're going to get you on is the fact that they're going to do. So they've talked about this Moto Maker app thing that they're going to do for it. So two things. One, because I just said app, made me think they should really make an app for your smartphone so you can build one of these things on your smartphone and order one.
Sure.
Because that would be smart on your phone.
Yeah.
So they the other thing is I would suspect it'll start at $200. And for $200 you can get the thing and a really basic band.
Yeah.
So the thing itself will be $200 basically, and they'll give you a band for free. And then they'll offer you customized bands, whether they're a steel band, whether it's you're able to provide some kind of personalization on it, whatever it might be. They'll provide that for an added cost, and they're going to bank on the fact that most people are going to want to add something different than whatever the basic band is.
That makes sense.
I would also not be surprised if they have a version, because they're showing it as black right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they have other colors and they charge you more for other colors.
Okay.
And so I think that that's where you try to make your money. You say, okay, this is the one. This is the one that's $200. It is a black face, the one that we advertise. It is a black rubberized band.
Okay.
With your typical watch clip, and then that's it. You're done. And it comes with the accessories.
But you can get it in colors, and you can get it with metal bands, and you can get it with diamonds, and you can get it,
right.
It's a watch.
You can bedazzle it.
Yes.
Yes. So I think that's where they're going to make the money, is on the little. And the other thing they need to figure out is if they can add other accessories to it that people would want. So like one of the things they do with the Moto, I don't know what the watch equivalent is,
Interchangeable
or if
bands?
there is one. Well, but they basically already have that.
Yeah, I
The
don't. I
Moto.
mean, I don't know. A
The only thing
case
I
for
can
your
think is
watch.
like, well, but think about it. Like one of the things they do with the Moto Maker that you and I were both kind of impressed by when we were looking through it is that, so you go through and you customize your phone, and it's these crazy colors and whatever, and then you can buy the Soul Republic headphones that match
That
the
in
color
that color.
of
Yeah.
for whatever the price of those headphones are. I mean, you're not getting a discount on them,
But no, but
but
I really thought
they
that was
match,
cool.
and then you can, it'll show up with your phone. That will be the included headphones.
Yeah, I really did think that was pretty cool. Just
Um,
as as a design thing. Um,
so if
it,
they can do something like that for a watch,
I mean, honestly, I want Apple to do that with the earbuds. Now that they have the unabashedly plastic,
unabashedly plastic.
unabashedly plastic,
Oh,
iPhone
Apple.
5, iPhone 5C, they missed an opportunity to have
To do the colored.
matching color earbuds, or
Oh,
what are
that'll
they
be
called?
this year's thing.
Earpods. What are the
Well,
headphones called now?
yeah, they're ear pods.
Earpods.
But think about it. They only did that. What, the color thing was announced a month after the Moto X thing.
Yeah, no, shenanigans, though. Come on. They had that in the works long before Moto.
No, no, no. I know they did. I'm not saying that was a. But
I'm,
if we got the idea, I'd never thought of doing something like that
but
until
look,
I saw
Apple,
it from Moto.
they had color matched little hockey puck mice for the different color of original
Oh yeah, I
iMacs.
remember that.
Okay, so this is not a new idea for Apple. To have the accessories match the color of the device.
Well, and I think with Apple, congratulations, Trey. You've gotten us to talk about Apple
I
finally.
have, yes.
Sadly, it has taken us how many weeks have we been doing this show?
6, 7, 8, I don't
And
know, a while.
this is like the first time we've talked at length about Apple. But anyways, I I think that depending on what the sales numbers for the 5C are, if they're seeing
a
that the
crap.
5C is moving product, then they'll um,
The rumors are it's not, and B, they're going back to all metal and glass phones for this year.
because
That's the rumor.
that's their design aesthetic, and people don't want something that's
Unabashedly
like,
plastic.
yeah, they
unabashedly
don't want, well, but
plastic.
they don't want something that looks like it's in a case because they're going to put a case on it.
Because they're going to put a case on it.
This
Yeah.
is okay. This is the thing I've never understood about Apple devices. Apple builds, and you've heard me say this before. Apple builds very nice devices. Like the iPhone is a beautiful glass and metal device. And this is as someone that does not own one, nor has ever owned one, nor desires to own one.
That's not true.
Okay, it's not recently owned one. The Silverback does not count.
Saying
Um,
you
but
own one.
I do own
You are
one. Actually,
guilty.
there is one in my apartment somewhere. I need to find it. But anyways, I do think that they have a wonderful, industrial design. And then people do crazy shit like that.
So this is my iPhone.
Makes the industrial design a bit superfluous, really.
Nah. It's nice that it's thin. I guess I'm showing my AAA card.
Yeah. Remember, Trey, you need to.
Oh, no one watches the show.
Yes, but the one that does will steal all of your information.
So, I mean, for me, I use this case because now I have actually managed to condense a piece of my life.
Right, but other than that, before that, you didn't use a case. You were
No.
very anti-case. You did Jellaskins, you did whatever.
I mean, generally speaking, unless it is a case that turns my phone into a wallet, I'm not interested in cases. Like my
and I mean-
my Lumia doesn't have a case.
I mean, here's a perfect example. Nexus 5 case. Nexus 5 case, significantly larger than Nexus 5.
Yeah.
And not... Oh, it's very bright. It fixes the black phone on black furniture problem.
Which is
Which
how
is
you
actually-
lost your phone.
Fight you. Which is actually the reason why I bought the thing. But it's so much larger in my pocket. And, like, the weird shape of it, like, I don't know if anyone watching the video, kind of got this weird, so, like, if you look at these next to each other, the case has this weird, like, trapezoidal taper, whereas the phone is actually like rounded and comfortable to hold. This thing sucks. Okay, so just
throw it away.
And threw it out the window. The second story window. Also, this thing is stupid.
What is? I can't even see what that is.
Yeah. See, it is a Leap Motion.
Oh, that's
controller.
what it is.
This thing is useless.
We kind of thought it would be.
I have, I pre-ordered. I think I backed the Kickstarter or whatever it was. I got one early, and all I've determined about it is that it is mostly bullshit.
So speaking of
awesome bullshit, but it's bullshit.
So speaking of mostly BS, there is theoretically this idea out there that technology is supposed to make your life easier, right? Make your life better, make your life maybe even simpler. You can accomplish, I am reading this
Better
book,
living through technology.
Better living through technology. I've been reading the book Dogfight, describing the ongoing battle between Apple and Google. And I think it was one of the Google execs was waxing like, you're never bored anymore, thanks to technology. You're never lost anymore, thanks to technology.
I'm lost all the time.
I'm lost all the time. So, I am never without something to fix because of technology. This is fundamentally what is new with me, is I have reached the conclusion that I am never short of something that is broken that needs repairing. So, I have a Kenwood DNX 690 HD touchscreen head unit in my car.
Yes.
With built-in navigation by Garmin, Bluetooth audio, iPod cable, USB. It's a pretty 6-inch touchscreen. It's a pretty sweet head unit. I paid quite a bit of money to have it installed by professionals rather than being installed by me. So this is not because I did something wrong. So I got back from a trip a couple weeks ago, and my head unit had completely crashed.
Is it running DOS?
It actually is running Windows embedded. Side note, it runs Windows embedded. But
well, there's your problem right there.
No, but okay. So it would connect via Bluetooth. The iPod cable would no longer charge or connect properly, and the maps just didn't work. It forgot that there was map data there, and then when I would finally trick it into reloading the map data, it would just crash and freeze. And this went on for more than a week. So this went on for more than a week, and so I started trying increasingly clever and desperate ways to try and get the head unit to reset itself. Okay? So the first thing I tried was pulling the fuse on the sucker. So
that was per my suggestion. That's what I did to reset my sync in my car.
I opened up the fuse box, pulled the fuse on the sucker, nothing. It's written to a hard drive on board. Doesn't do a thing.
Oh yeah, mine's flash based.
I could not pull. I pulled more fuses than I should, and my automatic the automatic button on my power window still doesn't work. So I kept put a fuse back in wrong. So I thought, okay, maybe I just...
They're supposed to click in.
Yeah. These don't actually. These really are just... There's no click. It's just push in. They're weird fuses. They're Japanese.
Are they the weird,
yeah, it's the little 2 prongs, yeah.
I hate those ones.
Those are weird. I don't like them. Anyway,
blue and green and
with a different color for the different amperages. At one point, when I was reinstalling the fuses, I had the wrong amperages, and I had to go back and redo the whole thing. It was bad. So I tried that. That didn't.
You probably need a new fuse for at least one of those things.
I think it's my automatic windows. Specifically,
I'll bring you some.
I have. They're actually the car. It's Subaru. The car comes with extra fuses.
Oh, of course they do.
They have thought this. I like this car. This was not. This was an aftermarket head unit. So the next thing I thought, okay, I'm going to pull the master fuse, but that was labeled 120 amps, and I wasn't going to touch it. I understand that theoretically I was fine, but it was 120 amps. It's enough to.
How much would that hurt?
I mean, 1 amp and 1 watt will kill you. 1 amp in 1 second will kill you. So
120 amps.
It's 12 volt though.
Oh, it's only 12 volt.
Well, it's a car.
That's only 1.4 kW.
Still not good.
It's only 14,000 watts.
Right. It's
It's
only
like
going
licking. It's like licking your fingers and sticking it into
the
I don't know,
electrical.
24 light bulbs at the same time.
Right. It'll kill you. So I was probably right into the show, but I'm pretty sure I was fine. Also, I couldn't tell if it actually would come out, and I wasn't about to find out. So the next thing I did
You
is
have
I got
that problem off.
yeah. So the next thing I tried is I pulled out my ratchet set and I took the battery cables off. That did
I think some call that the master fuse.
So I went around the master fuse and I pulled the freaking
Let's see how you feel about not having power.
It reset my clock. Did not reset my head unit. And so then finally,
wow.
After a week of this, I went onto Kenwood's website and I downloaded new firmware for my head unit, downloaded it onto a USB stick, put the USB stick into the USB port on my head unit, and reinstalled a new version of the operating system. It works now. It also has improved responsiveness due to better optimized code. I had to reinstall...
So you had to run Windows Update on your head unit.
I had to run, quite literally, Windows Embedded Update on my freaking head unit in my car. Okay? Like, I like this head unit up until the part where it crashed. Right? It really works. It's pretty slick, and it does everything you want it to do, and it's a reasonable price, and it's better than the stuff at the dealership, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's a good head unit. Except for that part where it crashed, and I had to reinstall a firmware upgrade to make it go again.
So remind me of how better living through technology.
Right, but this is my point. Right, so I have a smart pen, okay?
Oh yeah, the smart pen too. That's a good one.
So I have a smart pen, and again, this is a device I use all the time. In my other life, I'm a grad.
Echo Live.
LiveScribe
Echo.
Echo smart pen. It came out 3-4 years ago. They have newer versions out. And so I use this to take my notes in class, because having my laptop open, I just surf the internet and do research for the show, or other shows. I do other things. So I don't want my laptop open during class, but I want a digital copy of my notes. And so a LiveScribe Smart Pen is a great way to do that. It'll record the lecture, it will digitally record the notes you take on their special paper, which isn't all that expensive, and then theoretically it syncs with your computer and it all works.
I mean, it's not.
It's not. I mean, it's relatively expensive for a notebook, but it's not crazy. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
It's less than a Moleskine.
Less than a Moleskine. And so I've been using this for 4 school years. 3 years. 4 school years. 4 academic years. The desktop software still doesn't work. Just doesn't work. It is the buggiest, slowest...
Well, didn't you find they stopped supporting the desktop software?
Well, they stopped updating it 2 years ago. And they've gone to an iPad-only app for the newer versions that sounds like it works somewhat better, but I can't tell. Part of it is just the file sizes that are produced from this thing are entirely too large. So one class worth of notes is like 208 megabytes.
Well, yeah, but one class worth of notes involves a 1-hour audio recording.
That's a 1 hour. That's like 20 hours of audio recordings. So one full class, one full semester of a class is about 208 megabytes.
Okay, that seems perfectly reasonable.
It's perfectly reasonable, but apparently it's too much for the software.
Which they designed.
And so I'm not sure how they think this is going to be used, but I'm using it in what looks like its intended purpose for like a student, which I am, on top of being other things. And so I have spent many years trying to figure out a better alternative, and it just doesn't exist. So yeah, I have all of these technological things that surround me in my life that I use all the time, that I write about and talk about and do videos about on the internet, and it's just there's always something that's broken. Maybe it's Apple has upgraded Final Cut, which broke a whole bunch of things. Maybe it's that time that OS X Mavericks broke compatibility with Pro Tools 8, which just ruined
fun. I remember that
ruined my life for weeks. Maybe it's my car's head unit has crashed.
Well, and I have another one for that too. Like, so the media center. So my media center is behind me here. It has a dedicated PC, and that dedicated PC has all of my music, all of my movies, all of TV shows, anything. All of my media resides on that PC. on the 1 terabyte hard drive on that machine. The problem is that I decided, in my infinite wisdom, back in September, that it would be a good idea to install the 8.1 release candidate, or whatever they were calling it at the time, on that machine. And so I did that. And then Microsoft said, okay, you now need to, we're no longer supporting the release candidate. It was a Windows 8 machine. I put the Windows 8.1 release candidate on it. And then Windows said, okay, we're not supporting this anymore. We're going to restart every hour. You need to buy a real copy of Windows. I said, I have a real copy of Windows.
It's sitting right here.
It's on your, you know what the real copy of Windows is. And so I clicked the little buttons through where it said, click this and just install the Windows 8.1 upgrade and you'll be fine. So I went to that, and the Windows 8.1 upgrade told me, sorry, you need to explore one of these other two options. So then I spent 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get to those options. Finally figured it out, and the other options told me, abandon all hope, ye who enter here. You must format your hard drive and reinstall Windows. And I looked at it and I said, you have got to be shitting me.
You want me to do what?
It is 2014 when Microsoft. It is 2014. I should not have to apply a Windows 3.1 solution to your fucking software.
To be fair, play-in betas get burned by betas.
Fuck you, Windows.
I mean, my life is just a litany of these things. So for a while, my Media Center PC stopped being able to send sound to my my receiver for a while, and I was having to find ways to repair that. So it's just all of the technology, periodically my Xbox One starts sending.
The answer to that solution, by the way, is always just to turn off all audio devices except for the HDMI.
Right, and I did that. It didn't work. My Xbox One periodically sends dubstep instead of my cable. It's not. It's just totally garbled, but it sounds like dubstep. I am surrounded by devices, and they all break, and I am tired of that. Why can't technology actually just work? I switched to Apple partly under the hope that there would be some level of it just workingness. And to a certain extent that's true, except when Apple breaks compatibility with their own stuff.
And the fact that iTunes on Windows is a just fundamentally bloated piece of software.
iTunes is just a bloated piece of software, and I don't use it that much anymore. Because most of everyone's media is streaming. And I think that's partly because iTunes is just kind of...
Well, iTunes is the best solution, and it doesn't work great.
Well, it is the best solution that everything's there, right? It's not
iTunes is by far the best. The reason why the iPod did so well for a large extent was the fact that it had iTunes. And so I remember reading MP3 reviews back in 2003, 2004, and as you'd read through them, it would say, oh yeah, it's got a radio.
It will cook dinner.
Battery life.
It does your laundry.
It does your laundry. It'll cook you dinner. Cons: does not have native app support for store or something. Basically, it does not have iTunes, or is not compatible with iTunes. Does not provide, standalone software for syncing of media.
And that's part of what made the Zune such a play. Is there was also the Zune store.
And I actually really like the Zune.
No, I have as
store.
A device or as an ecosystem, I have nothing against the Zune. It was just too late.
Well, but
Zune was a problem of time.
The Zune desktop software, which surprisingly Microsoft has not killed yet. I'm waiting for that.
They're no longer updating it.
They're not updating it.
And they've rolled it into... They've replaced it within their corporate whatever with Xbox Music and Xbox Video.
Well, right, and they've even renamed a lot of it within the Zune software itself, but you can still sync your window. I could sync my Windows Phone through the Zune software if I wanted to.
Interesting.
Yeah, because right about the time Windows. So when we were going from Windows Phone 7 to Windows Phone 8, that's when they changed the name to Xbox Music.
Yeah.
Because it's the same time that they released Windows 8. So part of this unified
One Microsoft.
Everything is the same, except not really.
Except nothing is the same.
All of the things are the same, except we have Windows Phone 8 phone.
All
we have
of the
Windows
thing-
RT 8.
All of the things have almost the same name.
Oh, by the way, another news this week that no one cares about other than Trey. We no longer have Windows Azure. We just have
Microsoft Azure.
Yes.
It is Microsoft Azure Cloud.
Yes.
Azure is very important.
I know.
It is actually one of the most interesting stories about Titanfall that no one finds interesting. Except me.
I'm sorry. What did you say? Something Titanfall? That's all I heard.
Yeah, I know.
I think you were talking about something else.
But so on that note, we should probably get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode of T4. If you have any feedback for the show, good luck.
May God have mercy on your soul.
Podcast at textlesscall.com, facebook.com/textlesscall, pinterest.com/textlesscall, or at textlesscall on the Twitters. Good night.